gotta put content out, man. Now that go. Got to put content out. Can't walk with your head down in this game. Alright. Let's do this. Oh, hello viewers. Another beautiful day. Or night. It's about 12:50 at night right now. Hope your five senses work. Health and strength is good or excellent. Yep. Alright. What do I got for you guys? We're talking about this AMD Z2 SoC sock for gaming. The Ryzen AI Z2. Because I got one article here on video cards, but then there's one here on Phoronix. I'm going to get both of them. See what I can come up with here. Listen to this. It says both. It says AMD announced Ryzen AI Z2 Extreme and Ryzen Z2A APU for gaming handhelds, right? But over on Phoronix now, it says here AMD announced Ryzen AI Z2 SoC for gaming handhelds. Yeah, I'm going to tackle both of them. And in the comment section, people are saying, people are just letting loose. Listen to this. It says here, there were many rumors about the potential update to the already expanded family of the Ryzen Z2 gaming handheld APU from AMD. And today AMD is confirming these rumors. The company has just introduced the Ryzen AI Z2 Extreme and Ryzen Z2A APUs, both designed for the latest ROG Xbox Ally system. It says in short, the Ryzen AI Z2 Extreme, as the name suggests, is an upgrade to the Z2 Extreme. The AI in the name confirmed that it's the version, unlike the original, will have its NPU enabled. The Strix-Point based APU comes with an XDNA processor, which similar to the latest Ryzen Z2 series, which previously disabled for gaming. However, with AI now finding its place in games, keeping this part enabled will prove useful. Think AMD. Otherwise, the specs remain the same. This is an 8-core Zen 5 processor out of 12 cores with 16 GPU cores, RDNA 3.5 compute units. And then it shows the chart here. Then it says at the same time AMD is confirming that confirming the Z2A under the name likely hides the Van Gogh variant APU, which features 4 Zen 2 cores and 8 GPU cores RDNA. In this sense, the Ryzen Z2 Extreme will target higher end systems, with Z2A focus on long listing handheld PC gaming. As AMD confirms, this SKU, unlike other Ryzen Z2 chips, will have a lower TDP of 16 to 20 watts instead of 15 to 30/35 watts. It says here, the first system powered each processor are Asus ROG Xbox Ally Z2 Extreme and Xbox Ally Z2A. We have updated the chart with all the Ryzen Z2A APUs. And then it says Ryzen on the chart, because on the chart it says Ryzen AI Z2 Extreme and Strix-Point 8X Zen 2 C 16 RDNA 3.5 CUs, Radeon 8090M. But then it says Ryzen Z2A and then Silicon AMD Van Gogh. and we already know who used the Van Gogh. This fella right here. The Steam Deck. The Steam Deck uses this the Van Gogh. Actually, I'll put the game on pause. I was playing something. So it says here the AMD Van Gogh 4X Zen 2 8X RDNA 2 CUs. Yeah. Anyway, and then that's the end of that. So those are the two that's highlighted, because they show the Ryzen Z2 Extreme, and that's AMD Strix-Point. That's 8X Zen 5 C, and then 16 RDNA 3.5 CU Radeon 8090M. And then it says Ryzen Z2 AMD Hawkpoint 8X Zen 4, and then 12 RDNA 3 CUs Radeon 780M. Then you have the Ryzen Z2 AMD Rembrandt 8X Zen 3 plus 12 RDNA 2 CUs Radeon 6080M. Ryzen Z2 Extreme AMD Phoenix 8X Zen 4 12x RDNA CUs, Radeon 7080M, and then Ryzen Z1, AMD Phoenix 2, 6x Zen 4 Cs, 4x RDNA 3 CUs, Radeon 740M, and yeah. But now we got about 58 comments. Someone says, just a APU under similar branding, not done. I'm confident AMD can do 10 or even 20 memory bandwidth starved APU. And then it says, actually, let me go over to Phoronix. It says here, AMD announced the Ryzen AI Z2 SoC for gaming. Then it says AMD in cooperation with ASUS and Microsoft uses the Xbox Game Showcase for announcing their Ryzen AI Z2 series processor for gaming. Handhelds, the new Ryzen AI Z2 series is launching with the new ASUS ROG Ally Xbox and ROG Xbox Ally X handheld running Microsoft Windows. It says the Ryzen AI Z2 Extreme is quite interesting in being a Zen 5 and packing 8 cores and 16 threads with RDNA 3.5 graphics. And then it shows the 50 at top, 15 to 35 watt, 8 CPU cores, 16 threads, 16 GPU cores at 3.5, and the 8 CPU cores are Zen 5s. Anyway, it says here the Ryzen Z2A meanwhile is less interesting in being based on an older Zen 2 architecture and just 4 cores, 8 threads, and using RDNA 2 graphics. And then it says the new Ryzen AI Z2 Extreme and Ryzen Z2A complement the existing Ryzen Z2 Extreme and Ryzen Z2 SoCs. And then it says here, that's all for today with no hardware in hand for any Linux testing at this time. The initial ASUS ROG Ally and ROG Xbox Ally are shipping with Windows and heavy center to Microsoft gaming experience, but will likely work fine under Linux beside potentially some new ASUS platform driver edition. You know when I'm reading this, I'm thinking this is talking about the Steam Deck 2. Seriously, because we got 15 comments here, but over on our video cards we got 58. Let me see if I can tackle them. Let me start with Phoronix first. Phoronix said this. If I can get him here. Yeah. Remember I told you to save your money? Steam Deck 2 is closer than we think. But anyway, listen to this though. Someone says here, the Z2 Extreme should be interesting because it is Zen 5 and not Zen 2. And then who was that? That was dumb. And that was dumb. I'm like, and then was this Michael said this. Yes, fix already, thanks. And then who was this? Gear said this. When you say less interesting for a Zen 2 part, you really meant borderline scamming unwary customers with old tat with virtually the same, right? 7 nanometer versus 4 is gonna send battery life down the drain. Hey, at least battery life isn't important for a check note. Ha! Oh dear. Clearly it's a play to let non-Valve manufacturers use cheap nodes to rely on SteamOS to be competitive. It's for making a mid-range Steam Deck clone, essentially making Steam Deck 3 years late. It's fine, I guess. And then who is this? P said this. It is insane that same marketing family of Z2 SoC spans Zen 2, Zen 3, Zen 4, Zen 5. This kind of crap is not helpful for customers. And then Steve said, oh, be nice. Got a new handheld. What is rocking? Bob, it got the Z2 Go. Steve, is that the fast one? Bob, well, it's not as fast as the Z2 Extreme. Steve, oh yeah, makes sense. But it's faster than the regular Z2, right? Bob, actually, the Z2 is faster. There's another one too, the Z2A. Steve, okay, so I guess the Z2A is faster too. Bob, no, Z2 Go is faster than Z2A, but slower than Z2. Steve. Anyway, and then who was this? And then Ann said this. Yeah, the version visit seems like a scam for Chinese OEM and ODMs to technically not lie in the market. This is really bad. And then who was this? Qwerty said this. So Ryzen AI Z2 Extreme is just the Ryzen Z2 already existing, but the NPU not disabled at the silicon level. To be quite frank, I don't really find that very interesting at all. Like, I guess it's cool to have usable since it's being etched into the silicon anyway, but realistically, what is an NPU going to provide on a handheld gaming PC? It says then the Z2A is just Steam Deck SoC with deceptive marketing. At this point, I'm starting to wonder if we need regulatory agency to step in and mandate that marketing generation actually reflects the generation of the product, because the industry self-regulation clearly isn't working, and it's not just Nvidia either. And then Kano said this, maybe the extreme variant could be used for a Steam Deck too. That's what I was thinking. It says, how about getting official SteamOS support for those devices? At least Windows is so boring. And then who is this? Chit said this. He's responding to Qwerty. He says smart NPC may be multimodal interaction in games, but it will be a while. I don't respect that to be widespread before next console generation. And then he responded to Qwerty. He said all the Z1 and Z2 are based on existing silicon that existed before already. Z2 Extreme is Strix Point, Z2 is Hawk Point, Phoenix Refresh, Z2 is Go Rembrandt, and Z2A is a Van Gogh, or its die shrinked. Yeah, the Steam Deck 2 is lurking in one of those Z2s, man. It's got to be. Then he responded to Qwerty. He said, I think the tech press can still go hard on AMD and Intel and Nvidia about this. They don't. And then he responded to Kano. No, Valve said that none of the Ryzen Z2 project is suitable for Steam Deck 2. They want a console generation increase in performance at the same battery life. Official SteamOS support is already there for the sole Ryzen Z2 Go device. And then who is this? Let's see. Skeevy said this. He's responding to P. He said this. No, there's 4 different CPU, 3 different GPU available here. Z2A and RDNA2 plus RDNA2 new. No, wait a minute. No, Zen 2 and RDNA2 new. Zen 3 plus RDNA2. Zen 4 and RDNA3, Zen 5 and RDNA 3.5, and Zen 5 and RDNA 3.5, and AI new. He says 3 of 5 of these are not like the rest, and they have the audacity to label them Zen 2 with RDNA 2 as new in the advert. And then he said, Lisa Sue, honey, kids, we're having leftovers for dinner tonight. Oh my God. Yeah, this is hilarious. And then who is this? Who is this? Then Spider said this. Would the AI Z2 Extreme NPU 50 tops have any effect in gaming scenarios? If it was on a handheld, what are they even for? I would say that AI Z2 is probably for the Steam Deck too. That's what I'm thinking, but I could be wrong, you know. Anyway, now over on video cards, let's see what they're yapping about here. I'm gonna go through all this. Someone, who is this? Vinit said this. Just 5 APUs under similar branding, not done. I'm confident AMD can do 10 or even 20 more memory bandwidth starved APU. And then Sass said this. Most of these APU are not memory bandwidth limited. They have more bandwidth per CU than most Radeon desktop cards. And then Not Waking said this: Steam Deck APU on Windows running PC version of the latest Xbox games. And then Age said this: do they really sell well? And then Sass says this: approximately, yes, Steam Deck and ROG Ally are extremely popular. And then Space said this: 7840U and Z1 Extreme chips are released simultaneously, and it's almost been a year since the release of the HX370. So it's a bit weird that the Z2 Extreme release has been delayed up until now. It will also be interesting to see how this chip will probably struggle to surpass Claw Arc 140V after using nearly 6 months late. After being nearly 6 months late to the market. It's a good question. And then Valen said this: similar timing with Windows 11 handheld modification release. Then Advert says there are Z2 Extreme and AI Z2 Extreme in the table. Can you see it? The second one is new. And then E-Light said this: AMD desktop GPU market share has dropped to an all-time low of around 8%. At least Ryzen is doing well. And then Age said this: AMD isn't serious when it comes to GPUs. Otherwise, they would have improved more into their software stack years ago. They're still not doing it. The constant amusement how serious they are does not help. And then AVR said this: the drop is not surprising considering the fact that Nvidia launched new generation earlier and they had more time in the Q1 to sell, whereas AMD only had a few weeks in March. So when you think quarterly, always be mindful of timeless for product launch. And then JM said this: better wait for RDNA 4 handhelds for FSR 4. And then who was this? Try said this: there's no indication that AMD will be using RDNA 4 for integrating graphics. All of this current rumors are just more RDNA 3.5, but perhaps they'll do a mobile optimization with RDNA 2 down the road. And then Unknown Entity said this: upcoming NVIDIA NPU will force them down that path, or else they'll automatically lose, just like they do on desktop graphics side when it comes to features. And AVR said this: we literally don't know anything substantial about graphics on the Zen 6 CPU. Leakers need to do more probing to find out. And then Arf said this: why would anyone do that if they want to enjoy their consoles before Zen 6 is released in 2026? And then Patrick said this: so both Asus and MSI Z2 Extreme base handhelds come with the same 24 gigs of RAM and Wi-Fi 6E. Yeah, and not Wi-Fi 7. So the only difference being the screen, and will launch at the end of the year. Why didn't they give these devices 32 gigs in that chip limitation? Will Lenovo follow the same trend with the Legion Go 2? And then Jeffrey said this: not limitation. Windows handheld market is a race to the bottom. So anyone is shaving costs. Seems like there's no difference between 24 and 32 gigs in games, at least on the 8090M iGPU. And then Vic said this: the guy just wanted to do his Intel marketing whenever he got a chance. Everyone here knows about him. And then Seth said this: nah, he's pretty fair these days, TBH. And Mark said this: what's the difference between Z2 and Z1E? Is it just a rebranded Z1E? And then Jeff said yes, Z2 is Z1E. And then Valen said this: Hogpoint has 16 TOPs NPU, but Z2 variant has disabled NPU. And then AVR said this: both Z2 and Z1E have NPU disabled. Then this is Lake Warrior said: I wonder when they'll release RDNA 4 APUs. Their AI upscaling and significantly improved ray tracing and compatibility with previous RDNA cards would be great to introduce this holiday season for devs for more things forward across all platforms. And who is this? Jeffrey said this: No mobile RDNA 4 on the horizon anywhere. Gorgon Point 2026 is just renamed Strix/Kraken RDNA 3.5. And in 2027 it's going to be RDNA 5. And who else is this? AVR said this: it is true that the leaker do not know much at the moment, but RDNA 4 features in other silicon they need to probe more, and a majority of Zen 6 silicon have RDNA 4, perhaps only Medusa Halo waiting for UDNA in 2027. If AMD intends to release Zen 6 around Compute X next year to keep 2-year cadence, they must have completed silicon design by now, and RDNA 4 was available for integration beyond desktop GPUs. We should start seeing more information about new ARC iGPUs 900 chips. However, the summer such as information would fine tune everything. Tom from MLID told us about several IODs and all cores config. However, he himself did not get to iGPU information, but the leak in March. RDNA 4 could easily end up in Zen 6 iGPUs on IODs by the extension in HX mobility segments. If Gorgon is the same refresh, our Hark and Medusa Point launches around or after Compute X next year, RDNA 4 could easily land 3.2. We have heard that AMD will, for the first time, create more diverse IODs silicon than ever before due to transitioning some mobility silicons into chipset 2. We might end up with 2 IODs on desktop, 1 IODs on premium mobility, and another 1 or 2 IODs on Halo lines, minimum 3 IODs, 2 of which could have RDNA 4. Well, we'll see about that. And then Nelson said this: they won't because of the PS5 Pro. They always wait a few years before making an APU pass its PS performance. Probe contract states. And then Patrick says, if you want hardware-based upscaling, better RT performance, Wi-Fi 7 and good efficiency, right? Now just get the Intel-based MSI Claw 8, which I did, or wait another year for RDNA 4/XC3 Panther Lake integration. And then Sass said this: friends of mine got the Claw 8 and is extremely happy with it. He visited recently, and I agree, it's a great device. The problem is cost. And then So said this: unfortunately, cost will be an issue for all new handhelds with the latest hardware. Ally X MSRP is $800. The new one is at least $900. More likely $1,000. There's a reason why they didn't reveal the price. Claw 8 is $1,000 in the US already. By the end of this year, hopefully it will come down a bit. They need to compete with Xbox Ally for holiday season anyway. Yeah. And then Ivan said this: Nvidia will release some new features at that point. AMD doesn't have, and then AMD will chase, and the whole cycle starts again. I will wait for X anyway. Isn't DLSS/FSR4 just fake frames that people say they don't want? Now all of a sudden people on here say it's a must-have. And then Lazy said this: I'm kind of one of those people. The reason is I tried every upscaler with reasonable potential use case. Can't consider Intel at this time, so only tried software version, FSR and FSR4. Then it says in parentheses, or the version I use of it, close parentheses, is the closest to something I would be comfortable using long term. It's both worked as a better AA version, and of course good motion fields as well as clarity that all things DLSS seems to strip away. I don't suggest it a must feature for most situations, but I agree it's quite useful as an option, even if I mostly use it at 100% to replace TAAs. Specifically in handhelds, it will be quite nice for those games that just struggle hard and require all compromise to run in handheld mode. Man, look, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see where Valve Steam Deck 2 fall in all this when it's all said and done. So here RDNA, so RDNA 3.5, so no FSR 4. I mean that's our dark, and then PR Cardi said this: Ryzen Z2A that is just Steam Deck APU sold by AMD to retail. A bit stupid if you call me to sell Z2 chip with RDNA 2 iGPU even Z1 non-extreme and at 4 CU of RDNA 3. And then Jeffrey said this Z1 GPU is weaker than Steam Deck's GPU, so it makes sense to sell Z2A instead of Z1. RDNA 2 and RDNA 3 almost no difference in performance. 6650 XT 32 CUs, 7600 32 CUs are similar in performance. Then who was the sass said this: if it hits the really cheap price point, it's fine. RDNA 2 is still a capable architecture. I am more worried about the 4 to 8 Zen 2 CPU with Windows 11 bloat. And who was this? Jeffrey said this: ignoring the CU count, if you then 7900 XT and 7600 are the same GPU, what is your comment even about? Again, RDNA 2, RDNA 3 made almost no difference in performance per CU, so it's fair to compare 8 CU of Z2A versus 4 core GPU of Z1. Z2A Steam Deck APU is much better chip for handheld than Z1. I got a feeling the Steam Deck is up in this thing. I don't know, I just feel it. Anyway, Lazy said this: this is probably to do with the custom power curve along from a much lower profile than normally. My guess is it's not easy or cheap to redo the customized customized power table for such use case compared to just selling an existing one. Looking at the efficiency of RDNA 4, I think that when we get another design like that, anyway, what was this? And then Jin said this: handheld will always get outdated chips, technology waiting. Continue again. And then Warrior said this: Intel and Nvidia won't compete seriously with them, still chasing higher profit margin elsewhere. Then Tech said this: what are you talking about? Strix points on Zen 5's current architecture. Yeah, in mobility segment, there are 2 top SKUs with 16 compute units in iGPU. And then Nelson said this: they are also an RDNA 3.5, not 4. Then Tech says, and when was Zen 5 released? And when was RDNA 4 released? You guys seem completely lost and confused. And then who was this? Nelson said, oh, Zen 5 is the newest AMD CPU. There's no newer one, so Zen 5 is current 9000 series, so you're complaining for nothing. And then Tech said this: OP complained, I was just trying to discover what was their problem. And then who was this? Nelson said this: not confused, RDNA 4 just released with the 9070 and 97XT just 2 months ago. This is an APU, not discrete graphics card, so 3.5 is more than okay. And also, according to the AMD, 3.5 is going to get RDNA 4 support, so is all good. The other chip aren't meant for low power, so they use RDNA 2. Yeah, is oldish, but for the purpose is okay, and that's for cheaper hardware like Steam Deck. I got a feeling this thing is for the Steam Deck. And then who's this? We said this: bit of confusion nonetheless. According to AMD, RDNA 3.5 is going to get FSR 4 support. Is what you meant. And then Tech said this: I know all these things. You don't need to explain it to me. You need to explain it to Op, who doesn't seem to understand that current silicon is not the latest for handheld. Read his post again. Yeah, man. I think this is a Steam Deck too, man. When you really look at this, man, it's like I'm sitting there thinking the Steam Deck 2 has got to be up in one of these. Because why would you release like 4 or 5 different SKUs? And let's see, where are we at? And then Crosshair said this: will FSR4 be supported by these handheld APUs? If not, the generation of handheld APUs will be dead on arrival. Then Earth said this: no FSR4 is for RDNA 4, and probably not even next gen will have it, because even the next gen of our mobile APU will use RDNA 3.5 for next custom chip of Steam Deck 2. It would not make much sense to go from RDNA 2 to RDNA 3.5. Then Tech said this: refresh APU use 3.5, but Zen 6 should have more advanced graphics. And then who's this? Vanna said this: likely coming to AI Z2E at premium price. Otherwise, this is no point adding AI to gaming handheld, especially for AMD device. And then Laptop said this: as said in the FSR4 article, no, it won't. And then Crosshair says this: what I find baffling, they release a new technology, then 6 months later announce a new APU that doesn't support it, nor do they make firm commitment to support it, and expect us to just buy those handheld for $800. And then Reefer said this: they don't expect you to buy them, as you lot just spec watch. Man, look, that's the end of the articles. Look, man, that's all the comments. Look, when I look at all this, man, when I look at this whole spec sheets, the two that are highlighted is the Strix Point, Ryzen AI Z2 Extreme, 8X Zen 5, 16 RDNA 3.5 RCUs, Radeon 8090M, and XDNA 2. But then they highlight the Ryzen Z2A, AMD Van Gogh, 4X Zen 2, and 8X RDNA 2 CPU, and that's the Steam Deck. So you don't just release Z1, Z1 Extreme, Z2G, Z2, Z2A, Z2 Extreme, and then AI Z2 Extreme. One of these that I'm thinking, but then again, the Steam Deck uses Van Gogh, so I'm thinking one of these got to be the I'm thinking the Steam Deck is probably behind one of these, or the Steam Deck is up next after all this. That's what I'm thinking. So yeah, this is an interesting list that they just released, and Steam Deck need Steam. We got the OLED and the original Steam Deck LCD models. Maybe the Steam Deck is behind one of these listings, or it's after, because I don't think Valve will go back to a Zen 2 and then RDNA 2. No. I mean, you need something to support FSR4, so you would have to go higher. That's what I would think. You just have to go higher. So right now, I'm thinking right now, it's got to be close. It's got to be close. The Steam Deck is one of these, and but if it do, it has to support FSR4 out the gate. It has to. I mean, Microsoft, they have the Xbox, the Asus Xbox ROG Ally, and of course there's Asus. So, and of course there's the Lenovo. I mean, Legion Go 2. So the Steam Deck is close. The Steam Deck 2 is close, real close. It's close, but we will have to use GTA. I would say use GTA 6 as the measuring stick to figure out where does the Steam Deck 2 fall. Where does the Steam Deck 2 falls in all this? Because based on the comments I'm reading, the Steam Deck 2 is close. Based on what I'm seeing, it's close. So we'll see, man. Anywho, man, that's my thoughts. I discovered these both I figured I discovered these two articles, and then take it from there. So we will see what Valve do in the meantime, and how they plan to surprise us with the next line of Steam Deck, Microsoft and MSI made their moves already. Lenovo is up next. So, and of course there's Logitech. So we'll see what all this means. Anyway, I'm gonna leave this video for y'all to enjoy. Nice talking to you people again. Crystal Star Wars Star Trek thing for Dark Side. I'm gone. Peace.